il est vite, Sam. Sam, il est vite. Arrête, là. Well, good evening, people. Good evening, everyone. It's been a long day. Hey, wow, Sam, il était ici, là. Wow, wow, wow. Il était ici, là. Inside. Qu'est-ce que tu fais là? Il était ici, immédiatement. Ici. Arrête, là. Laisse faire les people. Qu'est-ce qui arrive dehors, là? Laisse faire dehors, là. Attendez une seconde, là. Hey, Sam, il était ici. Hey, il était ici. Là-bas, il n'y a pas de petit pit, là. Pas là-bas. Hey, Sam est dehors, là. Je sais pas ce qui arrive, là. Laisse faire dehors, OK? Hey, Sam, il court dehors. C'est grave, là. C'est vraiment grave parce que dehors, il fait froid, là. L'été, c'est pas grave, mais là, il fait froid, là. Qu'est-ce que je disais? Well, this evening, c'est le souper des écureuils, Tuesday, September 27, 5:52 p.m. Not funny. Les résultats sont très positifs. Tout est correct. C'est oui pour tous les territoires. The results are very positive. ATS for all the territories. No. And we will start with the general. Well, we already see the general, but we didn't see the footage of the general. I want to see the footage of the general. Let's ici. Avec moi. Les footage, on a vu ça ce matin. On va commencer avec ça. J'ai pas vu ça. On va commencer avec ça.
Прицел 715. Угломер 1254. Навести на основную. Одну мину заряди. Есть. Огонь! 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 Выстрел!
Итак, прибыли на учебное место по изучению устройства ручного противотанкового гранатомета. Основные его составляющие. Лицо не получило термический ожог. Олег, давай. Ага. Так, выстрел для ручного противотанкового гранатомета состоит из двух частей. Это непосредственно боевая часть, сам снаряд и реактивный заряд, который непосредственно создает реактивную струю.
Понял.
Огонь!
Выстрел! Выстрел! Выстрел!
qu'on vient de voir, c'est des RPG. OK? C'est des RPG. On a vu des mortars, on a vu des RPG. OK? Les RPG, c'est très dangereux pour... ça peut descendre des avions, des hélicoptères. OK? Et c'est tout un affaire. On les voit comment ils travaillent fort. C'est des coups des ouragans. Minute, petit pêche, je m'en viens là.
Можно там подснять, да.
On a eu ça aujourd'hui. Bon, ça c'est quoi? C'est Bogorod. Puisqu'on fait le show. Donc ça c'est Bogorod. On voit le monde voter. On sait que le résultat est très, très, très positif. J'ai bien hâte de voir toutes les choses. C'est pour ça que je fais un spécial ce soir. Dans le souper des écureuils, là. C'est vraiment un spécial là, ce soir. Là, c'est quoi ça? C'est des mobilises.
Звонок!
Yeah.
Писаренко!
Yeah.
Бырьяев!
Yeah.
Романов! Я! Назаров!
Yeah. Друзья мои, только чуточку ускорился.
Также бесплатно во всех банкоматах надо работать, в любых магазинах, везде без комиссии, без процентов.
Теперь серию номер паспорта.
C'est beau à voir. En tout cas, c'est une bonne nouvelle, cette affaire-là. Très bonne nouvelle. Quelle heure qu'il est, là? Oh, il est là, 5 heures. Attends, je voulais voir si... Ah oui, 6 heures. Si tu te mélanges avec mes heures. Okay. On va voir les résultats, là. Final result, là. Je vais voir ça, là. Ouais.
Finally, the results, they have come in. More than 98% of people here have chosen to say yes to Russia and no to Ukraine. The results were announced by the head of the Lugansk People's Republic, Leonid Pasechnik himself. Now, we did have a chance to talk to the head of the Republic himself, and we asked him about what emotions he feels right now that everything has been resolved and what's next for the Republic.
Today we have reached our ultimate goal. We have achieved what we all wanted so much. I think that the President of the Russian Federation and the entire Russian nation should take the decision and accept us into the Russian Federation. And then will come hard, painstaking work to further strengthen the Russian Federation. We will work for the good of our great country, which is why all this began. The future for which everything began back in 2014.
Next week, already he will be traveling to Russia to see Vladimir Putin, the president, of course, and, well, to discuss the results of the referendum, obviously bidding on behalf of all the of more than 1 million people here who showed up to the polling stations, well, so that Russia recognizes their choice. And again, this choice wasn't an easy one, not in terms of as to where their hearts were, but rather Kiev did everything in its power to intimidate the people here into staying home, into not voting. It has been shelling the Lugansk People's Republic stations and polling booths. People had to interrupt the voting and go hide in bomb shelters just to stay safe, just to keep on going with their daily lives. And no matter what, they showed up. They showed up in hundreds of thousands. Again, the attendance is also very, very close to 100%. And so this is what they did. This is what they did despite the shellings, despite everything being against their odds. Now, the authorities here, of course, they try to make it easier and as safe as possible. Instead, buses were taking members of the election committee door to door almost. They were visiting different neighborhoods and regions and remote villages so that people could have a chance to vote and to have their say without attracting and without participating in large crowds of people. But all this bloodshed, all this violence spearheaded by Kiev, it failed to crush the spirits of the locals here. We talked to some of them and they shared what this moment means for them.
It's such a bitter feeling when your motherland turns its back on you. Well, the land you had always thought to be your motherland. It's very sad.
I am so angered by this, but this is war. That's all I can say.
We aren't living in Ukraine. We are living in the Lugansk Republic, and we do hope they won't be able to get their hands on us.
The head of the Donetsk Republic has just announced the results of the referendum and declared that the Donbass is coming home.
My friends, the referendum has finally happened. I can't say I didn't believe it would happen. I believed and still believe in Donbass. We've all wanted this for a very long time. We dreamed about it in 2014, and then we realized that dream. We made history. These are historic days. We are reuniting with our great homeland. With Russia, I know what you and I have been through, what we continue to go through. Now we are not alone.
It certainly feels like definitely a holiday. It's very festive here as the results of the referendum came in just before midnight on Tuesday. Now the head of Donetsk People's Republic is speaking right now just behind me. I was asked to be a little quieter while I'm speaking with you, but definitely the mood out here is very festive, and just like we said, 99.23% of the voters said yes in the referendum to joining with Russia. Now, this referendum was taking place over the last 5 days. 4 of those days we had mobile referendum groups walking from home to home, from an apartment building to an apartment building, calling on people to come down and vote. That was done outside of the polling stations for safety reasons, because Ukrainian nationalists continue shelling the Donetsk People's Republic. Of course, the shelling results in tragedies. People have been killed over these days. People have been wounded. Of course, critical civilian infrastructure was damaged, as well as Kiev regime forces were trying to do everything possible in order to disrupt this voting process. Now, despite all that, the voting took place. The turnout was absolutely unbelievable. At least 97% of the population came out to vote, and now we know the results as well. Now, I walked around with these mobile referendum groups as well, and obviously I spoke to the people who were voting, and mind you, they were doing it absolutely freely, not like the Western media portrayed it to be, as if they were forced to vote in this referendum, you know, under the barrel of a gun. Absolutely not. Now, I spoke to many of those people, and you can hear their opinion about this referendum right now.
No one forces us to come. You can see it yourself. People come voluntarily. I'm so happy. I'm about to cry.
People were crying with joy. There were people from the Russian-controlled territories in Ukraine.
We showed this before.
That this day has finally come. I'm so glad I lived to see them.
Okay, so now it's super cool because we can actually see. That's what I wanted to see. I wanted to see what's going on at night there. C'est super cool parce que... Attends, je vais écouter ce qu'il dit là. Regardez ce que je n'ai pas vu.
Security. Medvedev said much earlier in the day that the referendums have taken place, and he said to everybody who was participating, welcome to Russia. Now, this is exactly what we have heard here in this referendum information center as well. As the results were announced, people started chanting, the entire room chanting Russia, Russia, Russia. People started hugging each other, and of course the atmosphere was very festive. Now, Donetsk and Lugansk independent republics are now waiting on an official decision from Russia, while Zaporozhye and Kherson region, which have elected to secede and sever ties with Ukraine, are now also waiting on the decision of the Russian authorities when they will decide to accept these new territories into the Russian Federation.
Around 1.5 million people had cast their votes in the Donetsk Republic by the end of the fourth day of voting. In the Lugansk Republic, the latest data shows the turnout exceeded 90%, while in the Kherson and Zaporozhye regions, the turnout was roughly the same at 77 and around 90% respectively. We spoke to the president of the BRICS International Forum, who came to the Donbass as an international observer, and she says the mood of the people there contradicts the Western establishment narrative.
From India.
I found that people about whom we were hearing that they are under the gunpoint or they are having control by the Russian army, we found that they are very free. They are participating in the referendum like a celebration and festival. They are really giving message to the world that there is no fear, no any pressure, and they are taking their own right. Even Russian government did not participate. They only provided logistic and infrastructure to the Lugansk and Donetsk people to conduct the voting. When you come to the real grounds, then you will understand what is the reality. From United Nations office, you cannot say everything. So this is not fact, whatever in international media is going on, and it is most of the time there is a fake news. During last 9 months, we observed that so many fake news circulated to the by the Western media to Eastern world and whole world.
And now, as the polls are now closed in the Lugansk Republic, international observers from France and Italy have shared their firsthand accounts of how the voting was conducted there.
We worked as international observers in the Zaporozhye region in the city of Melitopol. Based on what we saw, I can say that the problem is not the Ukrainian artillery, which can create fear, but actually it's saboteurs and intelligence groups. Once, during an inspection of a polling station, people who came to cast their ballots hid from journalists' cameras. They didn't want to show their faces. They wanted to keep their voting secret.
You've asked me whether I'm afraid of returning to France. It's hard to give an unequivocal answer to that question. I write for many media outlets under my own name, and of course that causes a certain degree of distress. When it comes to my job in France, there's less and less to do there. That's partly because France, as a member of the EU, has pivoted towards the globalist agenda. I know a Frenchman who stayed in the Donbass on a humanitarian mission, and part of the funds he had collected in France for children's hospitals in the Donbass was confiscated by the French authorities. He is even currently under investigation. It's evident that the French political system is now faltering, and that can explain such a hysterical reaction.
To discuss the latest, let's cross live to former Pentagon security analyst Michael Malou.
Okay, let's listen to
Mike,
this,
it's
my
good
friends.
to have you on the
Let's
program
listen.
today. Now, with the
ça.
referendums having
Lui, c'est un
concluded,
ancien
what's
du
next for the region?
CIA au Pentagon, quelque chose du genre là.
Well, I think there will be a period of readjustment. The net effect, however, is that they come under the protection of the Russian Federation. I think any subsequent shelling of the region by the Ukrainians will probably enlarge the conflict, unfortunately. And it's something that, and I think obviously if this was the will of the people, then that's what they want, and that's the way it's going to go. Just like what we saw in Crimea. As you pointed out, the West is going to poo-poo it. And based upon what I've seen from foreign observers, there were no complaints. There was no intimidation. And that's remarkable. I think our own politicians here would love to have votes, approvals of that magnitude, but that'll never happen. But the reality is that if this is what the people want, then that's what we're going to see. I think the same thing happened in Abkhazia and South Ossetia, in Georgia, and the Russians put it all to a referendum, and they were overwhelming as well, because it's something that they wanted to do, is go back to Russia, because they're Russian speakers, they're Russian ethnicity. So it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and this certainly stands to be a defining moment. Now, we've heard from the UN Security Council. They've had their meeting. And we've also heard from President Zelensky, who said that if Russia recognizes the referendum results, quote, they will have nothing to talk about. If negotiations are out of the question for Kiev, then how could this situation develop?
Well, it wouldn't have happened in the first place if the Ukrainians had agreed to something that, or had implemented what they agreed to, namely implementation of Minsk I and Minsk II. They were given that chance. And because of false guidance by the United States, they refused. And as a consequence, they reaped the consequence as a result of, at that time, saying they were going to bring Ukraine into NATO. Those are threatening to a country that has nowhere else to go. The United States comes halfway around the world and works with and tries to move NATO up to the Russian Federation line. That has been the scheme all along, and I think that what Russia has demonstrated today is that there are the Russian ethnic and Russian-speaking people don't want that. Overwhelmingly, and I think that if Ukraine continues to shell or continues to try to subvert through these intelligence and also the Azov group folks, and then it's going to enlarge the conflict altogether. And I think the West cannot sustain assisting Ukraine over a long period of time, but Russia can just have a war of attrition and just have a slow bleed by 1,000 cuts.
Yeah, and certainly Western politicians have been very loud about the fact that they do not approve of these referendums. And at the same time, we heard from Russia's ambassador to the UN in his speech said that the most vocal Western critics of the referendums are those who supported the independence of Kosovo. Are those cases really so different, or are we simply seeing more double standards here?
We're seeing more double standards as usual. The West has an agenda. It's very clear. They want to avoid they want to perpetuate this encirclement of Russia, to contain it, and they don't like the Euro-Asian vision that is coming along now. And it was significant that the representative of the BRICS countries also spoke up in your lead up here, because it's when you could consider BRICS and SCO membership countries coming together, it really represents over half the world, and half the world is basically saying we no longer want to be under Western domination. And I think that this is what's happening. Again, Ukraine is just a cog in an overall scheme by the United States. If it was left up just to the Europeans, I don't think they ever would have joined in battle and created this crisis, knowing what the consequences would be. Now, as we approach, now that we're into fall and approaching winter, they're going to see the consequences of their own actions. All actions have consequences, and this is something they're going to have to put up with now. It's very dramatic. The people of Donetsk and Luhansk are marching on, and if there's any action by the Ukrainians in response, I think that gives the Russians, you're going to see the Russians probably enlarging the conflict altogether.
Certainly a lot at stake here. Former Pentagon official Michael Maloof, thank you so much for your time and insight.
My pleasure. Thank you.
And we'll keep you updated on all of the latest on the events in the Donbass.
Ça, c'était très intéressant parce que c'est un gars du Pentagone. OK? Là, il y a une histoire avec la pipeline. Je vais voir si elle va parler de la pipeline. OK? Parce que ça m'inquiète, moi, l'affaire de la pipeline.
As the Kiev's forces have a right to use American weaponry against the Donbass, as well as the breakaway Ukrainian.
Listen for a text. Well, okay. Je regarde juste s'il n'y a pas quelque chose là, qui serait important. Là. Give me use US against boss. Pas important pour l'instant. Ok, là on va continuer avec nos nouvelles. Ok, mais vous savez que là, ce gars-là, là, qu'on vient de voir, c'est un ancien gars du Pentagone. Ok? C'est pour ça que je veux voir qu'est-ce qu'elle a à dire. À cause que lui, c'est un ancien du Pentagone, puis il trouve que l'Ouest est dans le champ mérite. C'est important parce que lui, il connaît l'Ouest, comment il pense, puis il connaît la vérité des choses. Fait que l'analyse était très importante. Vous comprenez? So, I thought it was important to listen to the guy from the ex-guy, the ex-Pentagon guy, because the guy was, let me check this. Okay, so, it gets better. The guy, the guy is ex-Pentagon, and so he knows the lies of the West, and he understands the West very, very well, and he actually knows the real reality of the situation. So it's very interesting to see somebody who actually is telling the truth, their opinion, you know what I'm saying, and what they think about the whole thing. So I thought it was very interesting to listen to that. Okay, so now we're going to continue with our education. Welcome everybody. I'm very tired. So what time is it now? I'm feeding my squirrel in the meantime. So it's very unfortunate. I really hate doing TV shows in the middle of my squirrel eating, but you know, what can I tell it? Je déteste faire des lives pendant que c'est du souper de mes écureuils, mais yeah, qu'est-ce que je te dis? Hein? C'est la guerre. On va toute la patente là. Ça, elle est partie se coucher. Bon. On continue avec notre chose. So go inspect progress and prepare mobilizing. Bon, là, il prépare les mobilisations, puis là, le Shogu, il check. On regarde ça.
Смотрим туда, то вам противник ведет судьбу. Второй номер. Вот здесь вот такие.
Соответственно, смещаемся сюда. Соответственно, автомат, ствол автомата находится в 10-15 сантиметров от вашего прикрытия.
Министр обороны. Это вариант эвакуации на поле боя. Вот.
Oui, c'est super cool, on voit les exercices. Ça, c'est le monde qui ont été mobilisés. Ils sont en retraining. Parce que vous savez, là, ça fait 5 ans qu'ils n'ont pas travaillé, ou 2 ans, ou 3 ans, ou 1 an même 6 mois. Il y a des nouveaux armes. Fait que là, regarde, tu avais cette arme numéro 1 là, là, tu vas rendu à l'arme numéro 3. Regardez, c'est des armes neuves, là. Même pas une graphique dessus, là. Fait que regarde, il doit y avoir des nouveaux features, là. C'est comme les nouveaux computers, ça, là. Tu sais ce que je veux dire? So, if they were like 7 years ago or even 6 months ago, look, they are brand new. You see? Brand new. Don't even a scratch on it. Well, it's like a new computer, you know? New feature, new things. You need to learn all of that. Look at that. Look at that. Brand new weapon coming out of the factory. Look at that. 886. I have zero idea what that means. I'm not a weapon woman. But I can appreciate the whole thing. It's brand new. Vous voyez, ça marqué 886. Je sais pas c'est quoi, mais c'est pas grave. On peut bien voir que c'est neuf la patente, là. Bon, ça, c'est le first departure of mobilized citizen in Sevastopol. Bon, ça, c'est à Sevastopol. La musique de Sam, Sam, il aime tellement ça, ça me dit.
Земляки, сегодня Родина призывает своих солдат и офицеров навсегда покончить с нацистами. Чинному Севастопольского округа, протоиерею отцу Сергию. Возлюбленная Господи, братья, христолюбивое воинство наше русское. Прошу своих помощников священнослужителей.
Vous avez vu les cadeaux, les petits-enfants? Les petits-enfants, ils ont donné des petits cadeaux de lettres, de remerciements, puis des lettres d'encouragement aux soldiers. Vous avez vu comme c'est beau? Les petits-enfants donnent des cadeaux. À chanter Placida, ça veut dire merci, merci, merci. Regarde. Ils disent merci au monde, regarde. C'est beau à voir, hein? C'est vraiment beau à voir. Ils disent bonjour, hein? Puis il y en a qui reviendront pas dans l'histoire, hein? Quand ces gars-là vont arriver là, sur le terrain de guerre, là, ils vont dire, écoute, moi je me bats pour ma femme, mes enfants, puis ma famille, puis la terre, là. Puis, tu sais, c'est quelque chose à voir, là. C'est vraiment là, quelque chose à voir, là, cette affaire-là. Là. C'est grave, parce qu'il y a du monde qui va mourir dans cette histoire-là. Là. C'est tellement triste. C'est beau, puis c'est triste, là. Je te dis, là, c'est toute une histoire, cette affaire-là, là. C'est une histoire. Puis moi, je te dis que tout le monde qui sont mêlés dans l'histoire du mauvais bord, là, moi, j'ai aucune... Oh, mes petits écureuils sont partis. J'ai aucune... J'ai aucune... C'est triste de voir ça. Puis ceux qui sont de l'autre bord, là, de l'histoire. Ils vont payer cher encore. One way or the other. Bon, là, je vais voir si j'ai mis une map, là. Hey, Tipette, viens manger tes bananes, là. Vas-y, prends-les. Vas-y, rentre, vas-y. Prends-les, tes bananes. Mamie. J'ai un petit bébé écureuil, là. Tellement intelligente, là. C'est une petite femme, elle a peut-être 6 mois, OK? Puis là, elle comprend qu'en avant, il y a des petites bananes, puis à l'arrière, il y a des grosses bananes. Il y a 2 plats, tu sais. Elle va, là, les petites bananes, elle n'en veut pas avoir les grosses bananes. C'est super beau à voir. Fait que j'ai dit, vas-y, prends-les, tes bananes. En tout cas, regardez ça, là. Je sais pas ce qu'on va voir, les fuckers, là. Oh, les fuckers, Le 27. C'est aujourd'hui, ça, ou demain? Si, on est-tu quel jour aujourd'hui? Le 27 le matin. Non, regardez à l'arrière. Le frappé à l'arrière que j'ai vu, là. Ouais, regardez. Je sais pas qu'est-ce qu'on regardait, là, mais là, je sais. Regardez ici, là. C'est ici pour vous regarder, là. En haut à gauche, là. Regardez. Bang! Bon. C'est ça. Ça doit être encore des drones graniers. C'est pour ça que je cherche des maps, moi. Non, pas ces maps-là, les maps animées, là, qui font. Il n'y en a pas tous les jours, là, mais en tout cas. Ah! Oh là, on les a. Ah, ok. C'est en russe. Ok. Enfin, bien, on va regarder ça. C'est ça que je cherche, là. Musique, là. Bon, c'est ça que je cherchais, là. Ok, ça, c'est où, ça? Ok, attendez une seconde, je me situe, là. Wow, attendez une seconde. Ok, ça, c'est à Kherson. Ok, c'est à Kherson. Ok, là, il faut que je m'aligne et je m'enligne avec les flips, là. Ok? Ici, c'est le power plant. La plante est là. Ça, c'est Kherson. Le spaceship est ici, là. Ça, c'est Berislav. Adjivka. Nikolaev. Berezkov. Razokipilia. Ok, bon, on continue, là. Je vais voir qu'est-ce qu'il dit, là. J'enlève mon curseur, là, pour voir. Okay, so we have all the cities lined up. That's in Kherson, okay? Usually have map in Soledar and in Liman, but this is a map of Kherson. Okay, so let's read what he's saying. On August 21st, the AFU launched a massive offense in the Mykolaiv Krivoy direction, okay? One of the objectives was to strike the direction of Berislav, okay? In order to split the Russian group on the right bank of the Dnipro River, okay? Into 2 ports, okay? But it didn't happen. Okay, that much I can tell you. That much I understand. Bon, là, ça va. Okay. So, Avdivka, now, near the Avdivka and Lozove, okay? Ukraine and 20 across the Inulet. The Ingulet or the Ingulet? En tout cas, anyway. The Ingulet. C'est the Ingulet. 4 kilometers south of the Soukli station. So, c'est les Ingoulettes. Ils ont frappé. Ils ont descendu les Ingoulettes. Ils ont frappé les Ingoulettes. On va passer là. Ça va être du cas. The next 30 days, 30 August. And creating first education once again. At the same time, if you attempt to expand staging point. Ok, fait que là, ils ont continué là. J'essaie de comprendre ce qu'on s'en va avec ça, là. Let's corriger. Russian forces withstood all this law. The first to be pushed, accurate, review, equipment, bon, étudier to Avdivka. Ok. Fait que là, on est rendu en tout ça. Là, il parle. Oh dear. Bon, là, ils ont rentré jusqu'à le 31 auguste, où ils ont rentré là. OK, fait que là, ils sont poignés trappés, là. Vous comprenez, là? C'est ça, la stratégie des Américains. Des Russes. Je vous l'ai dit plusieurs fois. That is their strategy. They let them walk in, okay, in a place, wherever place it is, and then they just kill them all. You know what I'm saying? They let them walk in and just kill them all. So that's their strategies. Je vous l'ai dit, ils les laissent rentrer, là. Puis là, ils sont finis. Checkez ça. Il y en a ça. Vous voyez, là? Là, il est rentré là. Après ça, on va regarder. September 23rd. Tsuki. Ils ont rentré. C'est toute une histoire d'explication là, depuis le mois d'août. Ils avancent, les laissent avancer, après ça, et tout. Voyez là, voyez la patente là? Vous voyez là, ils les laissent rentrer, après ça, bye bye! C'est que ça. Tsuki se traverse, fighting here. Attends, pause. Attends, je vais lire qu'est-ce qu'il dit. Listen to this. 4,000 soldiers perish. OK? 4,000 soldiers perish. Dans toute cette histoire-là là, de entrée là, qu'on a vu tout ça. C'est quelque chose, là. Hein? This pour la esclave, complete failure. Ouais. C'est ça. C'est ça. Fait que c'est ça qui arrive, là. OK? Quand est-ce que tu veux, mon petit cœur? Il est occupé avec ses lives, là. Bon, ça, c'est les pas-parlers qu'on parlait en russe, là. Je sais pas qu'est-ce qu'ils disent, là. Ils sont tous contents pour le référendum, là. Ils sont tous là. Ah. C'est pas avoir la traduction. Bon, ok. C'est ça. Fait que là, c'était la map de tout ça. J'essaie de voir qu'est-ce qu'on a ici. Bon, ça, c'était 27. C'était aujourd'hui à 2h du matin. C'est bon lire ça. Ok. Hey, il est 6h30, là, je fais comme si il est minuit soir. Je regarde juste s'il y a des affaires qu'on sait pas. Parce que, tu sais, il y a plusieurs personnes qui parlent, là. Puis si je sais déjà la patente, on n'a pas besoin de répéter. C'est déjà. Regardez comment que... Voilà, ça va pas bien aller, là. Parce que pour les fuckers, parce que là, qu'est-ce que tu fais dans cette histoire-là, c'est un fucker? Tu fais dur en tabarnak. Tu vas dire... Je te dis, moi. Qu'est-ce que tu fais? T'es un fucker dans cette histoire-là. Tu fais dur en tabarnak, je te dis. Je répète, parce que je te dis. Tu fais quoi, là? Là, ça s'en vient russe, puis là, tu vas continuer à attaquer dans le territoire russe? Ben voyons là. Tu penses qu'il va t'arriver toi? Quoi, toi? Ben pense, 30 secondes, là. I told you, what are they doing? See, there's tons, well, we know. We have battles here, les gros cercles noirs, là, avec une rouge, là. C'est Liman, Solidar, puis Bakhmut. Bakhmut, Solidar, Liman. On sait tout ça. Rien que changer. Mais là, qu'est-ce qui vient de changer? C'est l'état politique. Ah, c'est quoi ça? Check le drone, ça a l'air un drone. Alien drone. Je sais pas, là. Faudra que je... Attends, prends ces drones-là, j'ai pas assez de temps. Bon. Ok, ça, c'est qu'est-ce qu'on avait. Oh, c'est tout ça. Ben, ça, attends une minute. Il y a des miniers, puis en dessous de la terre, à cause Adonis, à cause de toutes ces colis de bombes qui tombent sur la tête. Ça a l'air que les Ukro-nazis, ils complainent qu'ils n'ont pas... Allô, Antika? Ils n'ont pas assez de vêtements d'hiver parce qu'ils commencent à avoir fait. Well, it's only starting. It's only starting. Il y a des Ukro-nazis qui font la complainte qu'ils n'ont pas de vêtements d'hiver. Il n'y a pas de changement là-dedans. Là. Il n'y a aucun changement. Là. Il n'y arrivera pas rien de... Moi, si je serais en charge de l'armée, je dirais, assis-toi là puis bouge pas. Attends de voir comment ça va se développer, tout ça. Tu comprends ce que je veux dire? Bon. Fait que... On va arrêter ça à soir. Là. Je suis fatiguée. Je vais finir... Il est quasiment 7 heures. Fait que c'est ça. Fait que là-dessus, je vous quitte. Thank you very much for joining. So we know where we're at now. The same we were. I'll see you soon. Have a nice evening. Thank you for joining me the entire day. Bonne nuit tout le monde. Merci d'être venu toute la journée. Toute la journée. Là, je suis fatiguée. Je suis tannée. Il faut que j'aille finir mes écureuils là parce que le soleil se couche là. Je vais finir la soirée avec mes écureuils. Puis là, on n'a plus d'autres nouvelles. Il n'y a rien de changé dans le battlefield à date de ce que moi j'ai vu. Donc, on se parle bientôt. Merci d'être venu avec moi toute la journée. J'étais là toute la journée. Bonne nuit, puis on se parle bientôt. OK? Good night. I'll see you soon. Bye bye.